Tommy Robinson recently appeared on the Triggernometry podcast with Francis Foster and Constantine Kissin, and it is a brilliant conversation, 2 hours and 52 minutes of just awesome content. If you haven't watched the whole thing, you definitely should. And there's a 6-minute clip that I want to show you guys from the conversation, because it is, every single person needs to watch this. And I know that Triggernometry does a brilliant job in highlighting certain important things, and this is one of those very, very important moments. It's 6 minutes of a longer conversation, but it comes as a massive warning to every single one of us in Western countries. Islam is taking over, and if we're not careful, we are in a massive, dangerous period whereby Islamists will take over. And guess what? When they do take over, we can do nothing to stop it. Now the religion of peace is, well, showing their true colors, aren't they? But yet they claim to be the victims. They say that it's Islamophobia that's the real problem, but our politicians have created those terms which have nonsensical meanings. Islam is a threat to Western democracy. Make no mistake about it. They may say that they are peaceful, or it's a peaceful religion, but it's anything of the sort. And if you read the Quran, you will know for a fact that it ain't peaceful one bit. Now have a watch of this 6-minute long part of the conversation. It is absolutely brilliant.
This is not my opinion. This is the Quran. And what this Quran does, do you know the term Islam is a religion of peace?
Mm-hmm. I have heard that.
Yes. But no one had ever said it until George W. Bush. We sat for months trying to find, historically, figures, military, religious, political, that ever said Islam was religion of peace. And all you'll find is Islamic leaders saying, no, it's a war manual. It's warrior manual, yeah? So that lie, which was told by George W. Bush, is now just repeated as some sort of fact. But these books are all banned by Amazon. As you just said, you can buy Hitler's book. So how can you ban? There's nothing hatred in these. But you're literally burning books now, and you're burning books that challenge your failures again. And what is the demographical change to this nation, and what does it look like? So as anyone watching this, okay, 5-6% of the country are from the Islamic background. Look at the mayhem from 5-6%. What do you actually think it's going to be like at 20%? This isn't fear-mongering. We've got a duty as English men and women to protect this country and to protect our kids. And everyone's seen what's happened since October 7th. It's accelerated. Well, what are we going to do? Because unfortunately, a lot of the groups that were for harmony are actually calling for the obliteration of an entire state of people. And people have seen it now. There's no smoke screens. People can see the hate. And it's not a minority, it's mainstreamed. And unfortunately, that mainstream hate is coming from the left and the liberal left, along with an Islamist alliance, which we've seen this alliance before. We've seen it in Iran. We've seen where the communists and the Marxists joined along with the Islamists to overthrow and topple the country. And the first thing that the Islamists done is kill them. So we've seen it. And I just think that, you know, as a generation of British men, are we really scared to talk about this shit? Are we actually going to remain silent and look at our country and see that there's 1,000 years of Christian history in this country, over 1,800 years Christianity's been in Britain, but 1,000 years of England. We're going to let, in 70 years, spineless, corrupt, globalist politicians import medieval backward cultures into this country and allow them to grow dominant and superior to us? That's what we're seeing. Luton is a blueprint for every town and city. You can ignore it because you think it's Luton, but it's your town tomorrow. And the demographical change and the growth in this nation shows that. So yes, you made the comment earlier about your taxi driver, who's probably a lovely man. I bet a lot of Germans were lovely during the war. I bet loads of them were lovely. It doesn't stop the dangers of Nazism. What we see with Islam, yeah, not Muslims. Again, people don't understand. So if I criticise the Bible or Jesus, it doesn't mean I hate Christians, does it? It doesn't mean I hate every person that follows it. So separate the two. Muslims are people. If you speak hatred against Muslims, it's bad. You entice or encourage violence against Muslims, totally wrong. Your God-given right is to look at this book as an Englishman and say, what does this bring? It's a book. It's my right to look at Muhammad's life and say having sex with children is pretty wrong, though. Yeah? You're not really a moral compass that we should be following. In fact, we shouldn't just be following you. Do you know my local politician, Gavin Suker? He was a Labour politician, and at the height of the English Defence League, I'd never met him, and there was a chicken shop in Luton and he was in there. So I walked in and said, all right, Gavin, yeah, you held a Celebrate Mohammed Day at Parliament. He said, yeah. I said, what do you know about Mohammed? What do you actually know about him? He goes, well, no, Muslims respect him. I said, okay, well, Nazis respect Hitler. Let's celebrate Hitler, shall we? What do you know about him? And he's just looked gobsmacked. You don't know anything, do you? You don't know anything about him. Yet here you are pandering. It's like Jess Phillips basically sitting on her knees in a mosque. It's mental. The level of absurdity, appeasement, cowardice from those politicians. We've got 650 politicians in Parliament and not one of them's ever spoke about Islam. Since Churchill and Gladstone, no one in that House of Parliament, bearing in mind the jihad attacks, think about Manchester, think about 7/7, think about Lee Rigby, we've had all these attacks.
But it's worse than that, man. It's worse than that. One of their colleagues was killed by an Islamist. So David Ames, do you remember this?
Yeah, but the public probably don't even know who he is.
Because all the MPs stood up. Do you remember what they talked about in the House of Commons?
Probably Islamophobia.
No, they talked about online hate. We got to crack down on their colleague has just been murdered by an Islamist.
Somalian jihadist, wasn't it?
Right. Murdered by an Islamist in a surgery, in a constituency surgery, i.e. the thing that they all go and do.
And
his
family is still trying to fight.
They're still trying to get
his whole family is still trying to fight.
His daughter.
His daughter is still trying to fight against a system that. Do you know why they can't have that conversation again?
I can tell you why, because I've speak to them.
Go ahead.
They're all terrified. And by the way, like you said, they're not wrong. They're not wrong to be terrified.
The problem is they're terrified, but we're not anymore.
I don't think the public is terrified.
The public are not terrified anymore.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, you put us in prison. Yeah, well, that didn't work, did it, mate? You know what I mean? That doesn't work. Okay? That doesn't work. And it doesn't work because once there's a reality that the country is at stake, that the entire Christian nation, that the entire population and culture and identity and children's future is at stake, we don't care about you putting us in jail. Yeah, because these are an argument I had with my ex-wife so many times. Yeah, she's like, just shut up. What about the kids? I said, this ain't about the kids. What about their kids?
I mean, it is about the kids.
Yeah, it is. But what I mean is, she's like, just shut up to make sure our kids have a say. I said, okay, but what about when they have kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're a minority. I know what it's like to be a minority in Islam. I've seen it my whole life. I know what it's like. Go ask the Christians in Afghanistan. Go ask the Christians in Iraq. Go ask them in Syria right now. Go and ask the Druze. Go and ask them what's happening.
You can't because they're fucking dead.
And they're all dead or getting killed.
Masks are off. The hatred is clear as day. I mean, if you guys saw just 2 weeks ago on Sunday, the protest, the pro-Palestinian protest on the Sydney Harbour Bridge, anywhere upwards of 100,000 people marching, that showed me that Australia is willing to bend the knee to Islamists, to those people that support terror. That's what it showed me. It wasn't peaceful because why in the world do they have the Ayatollah Khomeini, the known terrorism leader? Why in the world do they have his photo at the very front with Julian Assange? Why in the world do they have him there? If it was really peaceful, right? Why? Why in the world do they have chants of death to the IDF? If this was really peaceful, why did over 100,000 of them march across Sydney Harbour Bridge demanding the government intervene in what's going in Gaza? They can't do anything about it. But you know what it did? It showed many Australians just how far we have fallen as a society and as a culture. And if we're not careful, Tommy's been warning about this sort of stuff for years, man. No one's listening to him. And those that are, maybe it's too late. I don't know. I hope to God that it's not too late. But the messaging has changed. It's shifted. So people that want to march for Australia and wave an Australian flag, you got all these small little voices, well, small people that have loud voices, and I call them dingbats. They got no idea what they're saying and the damage that it's going to do to the country they supposedly love. Haven't you seen what's going on in the UK at the moment? You don't understand. If you speak out about Islam, you will get death threats. 100%. It's not easy. Tommy has been receiving non-stop death threats. Why? Because this religion of so-called peace doesn't want you to exist. You can't tell me that they want you to harmoniously exist if you're not part of what their Quran says. If you're not part of Islam, they don't want you here. They don't want you to exist. There can be no peace when Islam is around. Haven't you seen any of the countries where Islam is the dominant head? What happens? Submission. There is no peace. You can't tell me that Sharia is the way forward. It's detrimental to our society. And Tommy's right. Since October 7th, it has accelerated the hate. Australians, we share a lot in common with our UK brothers and sisters. And Australians need to wake the hell up and realize that it's coming. It already has come. It already has. It's very alarming. And I'm just waiting. I hope and I pray that it doesn't happen, but I'm just waiting, man. Because I know for a fact these people that claim that they're all peaceful, they're anything but. It's very concerning. And you want to ban books that talk about the dangers of Islam. That's insane to me. We just want to warn people. We have every right to warn people of the dangers of this hateful religion. The death cult. I've said it many, many times. It's not just me that's speaking out about it. It's Tommy. It's now the Triggernometry guys. Everyone that has a brain on them can see. And we need to wake up. Now, what Tommy raised about separating the two, Islam and Muslims. Now, you will have some Muslims that believe in the radicalization of Islam because Islam is a radical, ideological, cult-like thing. And some Muslims believe in that wholeheartedly, and so they will carry out some horrible things. There are those people. That's not the vast majority of them. There are some of them I know that are very peaceful people and they just want to, live in peace and they cannot stand what's going on in our society. I think we should separate the two. I think it is very, very important to separate the two. I want to make it perfectly clear. I do not hate Muslims. I do not hate the people at all. What I hate is the religion. What I hate is Islam because Islam dictates that I'm an infidel. Islam dictates that Christians and Jews should be annihilated. That's what Islam dictates. Islam is not a religion of peace. It is not. It's a backwards religion. That's not me just saying that. That's what Tommy was saying. But we shouldn't hate on or shouldn't wish death upon anyone. That's not the Christian way, right? So I don't hate and I don't wish death upon any person. But you know what? Islam wishes death upon me. I don't wish death upon Islam or any Muslim man or woman or child. No. But they wish death upon me. Not the Muslims, but Islam. Because that's what's in their Quran. So it is very important to make that distinction. And some people get confused. They're like, oh, Jay, you hate Muslims. No, I don't. Never have, never will. I have some very close friends who happen to be Muslim, and I love them dearly. They don't follow the Quran. They are just Muslim by, heritage, essentially. And they can't stand what's going on. So it is very important to make that distinction. But there are lots of Muslims, don't get me wrong, that follow the Quran and believe wholeheartedly in what the Quran is saying, and that's why we've got lots of problems. So it's very important to make the distinction 100% and blame it on Islam. Islam has created problems. It is not compatible with Western society or Western culture. Luton Town is a blueprint, as Tommy said, quite evidently. But it's our town tomorrow. If we're not careful, you're seeing it in Sydney and Melbourne, for goodness sake, in Australia. They're being taken over. Our government officials have made it incredibly hard for us to speak out. Incredibly hard. Because they make these stupid little laws. Islamophobia is on the rise, but yet they're allowed to be anti-Semitic and attack Jewish people or Christians. It's apparently hate speech now, to say the truth. Haven't you read the Quran? Don't you know anything about the Hadiths? Do you not know anything about Islam itself? Or because you're corrupt and you want to allow these backward cultures, all for diversity and inclusion. You know what wokeness has done? It's destroyed the very fabric of our nation. That's why people want to march coming up on on August 31st. That's why people are marching for Australia. They're sick and tired of the corruption, the nonsense. That's why people are going to be marching on September 13th, I believe, for Unite the UK. Unite the kingdom, man. Australia and Britain, we are brothers. We're going through the same thing. The UK is falling very fast. Australia is next. Mark my words. We need to unite, not divide. We have a Christian heritage. The thing I love about Tommy's message is that he knows that we've got a Christian message. We have a Christian heritage. And so that message needs to be sent far and wide. Everyone needs to know, because we can't allow these backward individuals to come in and destroy that Christian heritage. Because then what does it say about our ancestors that fought so hard to keep Christianity alive and well, only for corrupt people to come in and then destroy it under Islam? I won't allow it. And Tommy was saying, why are so many people afraid to speak up? You know why? Because they'll be branded a certain way, and then also the Muslims will go after them. You're seeing countless attacks, all because you have a difference of opinion. That's wrong. The politicians are terrified. They're scared. They're scared because they're a bunch of virtue signaling weak cowards. They're all spineless. They're only in their position to make society worse for us as citizens and make it better for Islamists or immigrants. They're virtue signaling cowards. They're also corrupt as all heck. And I've said for many times, you don't get into politics to really make a difference nowadays. You get into politics to make money. I've said it many, many times, and I stick to it. A young 21-year-old here in Australia got elected, and her base salary as a 21-year-old is $200-something thousand plus everything else. Explain that to me. How a 21-year-old is in parliament. She's got no idea about the world or about policies, nothing. But yet she's being paid $200-something thousand a year on top of all the allowances that she gets because people elected her. Oh, she's young. No, what she is a grifter, corrupt. They're all the same. They all get in because of money. Not to really make a difference at all for everyday hardworking Aussies or even people in the UK. What about Sir David Ames? Killed by an Islamist. And what do the politicians do? They don't stand up for what's right. No, they cowered. Online hate, people. Online hate is so bad. We must combat that. So they create laws they've been trying to get in for a long time that controls the public. Police are too scared. I mean, in the UK, they had the grape gangs, for goodness sake. How do you explain how so many Pakistani Muslim men got off? Sure, some were arrested and charged, but a vast majority of them got let off. It's the biggest and worst scandal in the UK's history, and yet The politicians do nothing. What are politicians good for? Absolutely nothing. It frustrates me no end. That's why the people are fed up. That's why the people are marching. The good people I'm talking about. The ones that actually really want peace. They're marching for that. They're not marching because they hate this country like the pro-Palestinian nut jobs. Because if they do love this country, why in the world are they not waving our flag? They're not. Why in the world are they chanting death? And then they want to turn around and say that we're the fascists, we're the neo, you know what's. No. How dare you? We know what's true. The public of Australia, a vast majority of them, are waking up slowly but surely. The UK is waking up. And it's people thanks to Tommy Robinson, Constantine Kissin, and many others. It's time that we put a stop to it, isn't it? Otherwise, what's going to happen? Taken over. Anyway, that's enough from me, but you guys take care, be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.